Cashless Society here again today, and I wanted to take a look at this FedNow with you. Forbes article came out yesterday. This has been going around a lot in crypto, specifically the XRP community, so I wanted to give you my take. And so, Forbes article says, FedNow aimed at transforming the U.S. payment system, approved by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. I'm just going to go through and read you a couple portions that I've highlighted and try to examine them a little more in detail with you. So, it says, FedNow was launched in 2013 to collaboratively explore the speed, safety, and efficiency of the payment system in the United States. FedNow has taken 7 years to crystallize into a form approved by the Board of Governors after digesting public comments. Cool. Alright, a couple things to highlight in here. It says, if FedNow were operational, would stimulus checks have reached its recipients faster? Paper checks and associated costs may become a thing of the past. Yeah, we know. We're moving to a cashless society, right? That's the whole point of my channel and trying to help people get in front of it. But, okay, so the narrative is going to continue to be built that the stimulus checks didn't make it because we're not using modern technology, and that they're going to have to fix it for us, and they're here to save the day. All right, so just, you know, kind of describing what this FedNow is going to be. It says it's going to be a 24/7, 365 days a year, basically instant settlement. So, what are the details? It says it will be a real-time gross settlement system. Businesses will be able to do near real-time payments. And there's basically three main components of it. They said that the system is going to be based on the principle that is real-time or near instant. Secondly, it will be gross, implying that there is no netting. And another thing that portion made me think of, gross, no netting, reminded me of this Federal Register article that came out talking about changes to the Electronic Funds Transfer Act, specifically for remittance transfers. This came out in June specifically and went into effect on July 21st, which was that supposedly epic day for Ripple and XRP. I highlighted right here in the summary. The main point here that ties into that gross, not net, is that it says exceptions that allows insured institutions to disclose estimates instead of exact amounts to consumers. Basically, that's the main portion of this that's being changed. The exception that allows insured institutions to disclose estimates instead of exact amounts to consumers. You don't know what changes they made to this rules, what they imply, but they do. So they had an issue. They went in here, changed the rules so that that issue is no longer there. All right, what else do we got? So, once again, in the narrative for needing to roll out this FedNow, needing to roll out digital payments, digital currency, digital monetary systems, because this pandemic and so on is the reason, right? So it said, first off, it says instant payments are necessary for people who are financially constrained, who need access to funds rapidly. That sounds like the majority of people right now, right? These stimulus checks. It says, for instance, if rent is due on the first of the month and your monthly payment takes a week to get to your bank account, then the first week of the month could be a stressful time for you if you did not have a cushion. Instant payments will also help in times of crisis where there is need to move money quickly and access funds fast. Small businesses and other firms with cash flow constraints will have access to funds more rapidly in normal times and in times of stress. So, narrative there. They're going to save the day with FedNow. And lastly, it says FedNow ISO 20022 is the messaging standard that FedNow proposes to use. If you are with the XRP community, you already understand where I'm going with this. If you're not, or you're new to crypto in general, let's take a look at this. So, with ISO 20022 shaping the future of cross-border payments, so Ripple posted this article here in May, I believe. It says, now we're thrilled to share that Ripple is part of the ISO 20022 Registration Management Group standards body and the first member focused on distributed ledger technology. So FedNow is rolling out their distributed ledger technology that they're going to use to get payments out instantly. And they're going to use the messaging standard that they're going to use the messaging standard that is ISO 20022. And Ripple is the first member of ISO 20022 that is focused on distributed ledger technology. Boy, oh boy. Could it be more obvious where we're going with this? And then, so, changes to this Electronic Fund Transfer Act, along with FedNow. I mean, there's clear connections to the Fed and Ripple at this point. And another main one I wanted to point out is Jess Chang. So, Jess Chang here used to work at Ripple. Before she did, though, she worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And she did so from May 2011 to August 2015. During that time, she said, I specialized in central bank financial services, including FedWire funds and other payment systems, international cash services, and gold custody. And then she left there immediately to join Ripple. And at Ripple, she worked as the Deputy General Counsel. And there, she said, I created the legal framework that underpins the RippleNet rulebook and provided pragmatic product and regulatory legal advice on cross-border payments, blockchain, and DLT-based solutions and crypto assets. All right, cool. So then, of course, she left Ripple. So she went from the Federal Reserve, and I'll have you know as well. So she worked there from May 2011 to August 2015. They said FedNow has been working on this, the Fed has been working on FedNow since 2013. So Jess Chang was there during this period of time. Do you think that she was part of this? Most likely. Why did she go to Ripple next? Any reason at all to just go to Ripple? Because in between that, so she worked at the Federal Reserve, Ripple, then she went to the IMF, and then back to the Federal Reserve now. What's the point of jumping over to a fintech during this period of time, unless they were part of the plan? You don't see people go from government institutions to a fintech startup in San Francisco or back to government institutions. It doesn't work that way unless it's part of the plan. My point there. But another interesting thing I wanted to point out to you. So she worked at the IMF March 2018 to January of 2020. And who else was there during this period of time? Christine Lagarde was the managing director of the IMF during the period of time that Jess Chang was brought in. From March 2018 to September 2019, Christine Lagarde was there as well. And we know, we've heard her say plenty of times great things about Ripple and how they're disruptors in the industry and so on. Could it be more obvious, guys? I really don't know what else to tell you at this point. But, you know, this made me also want to dig a little deeper into connections with Ripple and employees that have worked there. And I just wanted to see, you know, what they might have been up to. So, this guy, Marcus Treacher, he has done all kinds of great things for banks and you know, big financial institutions. So first off, well, one thing to note, he worked at Accenture back in the 80s and early 90s, who we know is a Ripple partner, as well as they are building the digital dollar project right now. Then he went to Citigroup, where he was a high up executive handling multiple roles. Then he went to HSBC, which I believe is, I don't know, I have to look into that. They're a very large bank in Europe. But the most important thing here, I guess, is from there, he moved on to Swift. At Swift, he worked on overseeing the propositions to corporate customers as chairman of the corporate advisory group, membership of Swift's banking and payments committee and technology committee. Okay, so he went from Swift, he left Swift on April of 2016. He started at Ripple on April of 2016. So he left Swift and he went to Ripple. And then at Ripple, he was responsible for developing Ripple's payment network with global banks, ensuring that Ripple's interledger technology is applied to solve international payment challenges of banks and their customers, corporate, institutional, and individual. Guys, I mean, what else can we say here? This is crazy. You don't need to think too hard about this one. All right, who else do we have? David Shreer. So this guy has been all over the place. He's basically like an advisor or a consultant for businesses and startups, and he's been all over the place, governments. So from January 2014 to March 2016, he served on the European Commission as a member of a small group of advisors generating recommendations to policymakers and the European Commission on entrepreneurship and commercialization of innovation with a focus on digital business. Digital business. All right. Where did he go after that? After that, he went to work for Smart Dubai, another government institution, and there he assisted the government of Dubai with its ambitious effort to transform Dubai into the world's smartest and happiest city, leveraging technologies like blockchain and digital identity. Cool. Where did he go next? After that, he went to Ripple to work as a strategic advisor, where he advised senior leadership of global payments and fintech. Okay. Other important places that he went after that. After Ripple, he served as a board member on the Department for International Trade in the UK. So he's a charter member of HMG Fintech Trade and Investment Steering Board, a partnership among government, academia, and industry to help develop the newly constituted Department for International Trade's vision to more deeply support fintech trade and investment in the UK and abroad. He's still there, it says, presently as a board member. He's also a board member of FINRA. So this was important to me. As I've mentioned before, you might not have heard me. I used to be a financial advisor. I no longer am anymore. This is not financial advice. This is just my passion. So I've decided to solely focus on crypto and blockchain because I know for a fact it's the future of finance and that's where I want to spend my time. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know, FINRA is the regulating body that oversees financial institutions, investments, securities exchange, stuff like that. Basically, the SEC is the governing body that makes the rules, and FINRA essentially enforces those rules. If that provides clarity there. So what does he do there as the advisory committee member? He provides insight for FINRA around emerging financial technology issues such as AI, data analytics, blockchain, and ICOs. So this guy is clearly important. He also works currently as a senior advisor for the HM Revenue and Customs in the UK as well, and he helps them understand the implications and applications of disruptive technology. So right now he is a current member of HM Revenue and Customs. I think they do taxes and payments and so on in the UK. Department of International Trade in the UK, FINRA in the United States, and before that he worked with Dubai as well as the European Commission. So This guy has ties all over the place to government bodies, and he snuck his way into Ripple, a fintech startup. You don't see any ties to Ethereum or anything in here. I don't. What else can be said? He's also currently a lecturer at MIT. So this guy is very plugged in, and obviously connected with Ripple. Another thing to note about Marcus Treacher, a few things that stuck out to me. I said he worked at HSBC, so I wanted to, quickly look at some connections there with Ripple as well. So I believe this article was posted in 2018. It was a little document about distributed ledger technology in capital markets by HSBC. So if you go down here to page 8, quick mention of Ripple. So they want to talk about what are the most compelling use cases for DLT, and they say DLT can streamline end-to-end value transfers, reducing costs, operational risks, and settlement periods. For example, Ripple's XRP ledger provides real-time cross-border settlements using tokens that represent central bank currencies. So as Ripple has said before, countries all over the world can launch their own digital currency on top of the XRP ledger within seconds, basically. So, and HSBC, a large financial institution in Europe, has specifically cited this as well in their document here. So this isn't speculation. This is all facts right in front of your face kind of stuff. I don't know what else to tell you at this point. Let's move over to page 12. Saw a couple things here as well. So they talk about DLT evolving over the next 2 or 3 years. And then they address some issues that could come up. I just thought it was interesting to see the words that they use. They say, for instance, one of the issues they could see is the challenges of taking the quantum leap for trials and testing to real-world implementation. What's interesting there is we've already talked about multiple times of how it looks as though XRP has been being tested over and over, trialed and tested, which only makes sense. You're not going to launch a new global financial system off on top of something that you haven't tested over and over and over to make sure that it's going to work efficiently. Big financial institutions and governments just would not risk reconstructing a system without trying it over and over. And Ripple, as we know, has been around since 2012, 2013. So other than Bitcoin, they are the most tried and tested blockchain platform. Another thing to know, they said, how are we going to get into the industry? How are big institutions like this going to get into blockchain? Basically, they said there will be 3 dominant investment approaches they're going to build. They could develop a new ledger with help from specialist DLT providers or fintechs. They could also buy. They could use a proprietary ledger operated by an external vendor, such as DAH or R3 or IBM. And then they also said they could partner. They could join a development consortium such as R3 or Hyperledger. One thing to note here is that they mentioned R3 multiple times. And we all know up to this point, R3 has Corda, which has already demonstrated using XRP on their platform as well. So if this doesn't tie it all together for you, I really don't know what else to tell you, to be honest with you, because it's pretty clear up to this point that Ripple has done everything they can to tie in with the Fed and all the governments around the world. And as the saying goes, don't fight the Fed. Ripple's never tried to fight the Fed. They just said, hey, why don't we just go partner up with them and help them build out the new financial infrastructure of the future. And they've done it right. So, that's pretty much my take. And that about wraps it up for me here once again. As always, please like and subscribe. share with your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.
I gotta get out of here, man. I just want to leave with, if you ain't got it by now, then you just ain't getting it. Yeah.
What is a cashless society? What does it actually mean in a literal or high-level sense?
Money will become like these, relics of a different age, and will only be found in places like this. In other words, hard cash will disappear. It will become electronic, transferred by things like these.
Then Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Then, good morning.
Mobile payment transactions in China reached a cumulative total of 277.4 trillion RMB in 2018, ranking #1 in the world, according to the recently released statistical report on internet development in China. As of June 2019, online payment users in the country reached 633 million. The cashless society is now approaching.
When's the last time you paid with cash? Well, chances are cash has taken a backseat to the plastic in your wallet and smartphone pay apps.
Denver 7's Ryan Luby explains the digital pay revolution and why not everyone is on board.
A cashless society, a cashless society.
The cashless society.
The cashless society is now approaching.
The cashless society.